Hi, everyone. I first want to thank all of you for deciding to spend Saturday with us. I want to thank Latanya Smith for inviting me to speak through Flick's Youth Awareness Day program. Today, I'm going to talk about how to find your joy in autism. But first, I have to tell you who I am. As she introduced me, my name is Andria Chappell. I'm the founder of Black Joy Autism, which is a business that I started when my son was about 8. He's now 14. I hold a bachelor's in social psychology, and I have a master's in human services, marriage and family counseling. And I've been a stay-at-home parent to our son, Adrian, since he was diagnosed at the age of 4. We got the diagnosis through the gentle nudging of my mom, who actually runs her own daycare, and she started to see some signs in Adrian when he was about 3. So my husband and I decided to get our son tested, and he received diagnosis of autism, what the autism community calls level 2, and ADHD. And so we all know autism and ADHD can go hand in hand. In those early years, we were giving him private speech therapy and in-school speech therapy. And I noticed that when they were doing picture exchange cards, they didn't have images that looked like him. So I went online to find cards that had like commercials on. I could not find them anywhere. So we do sometimes we go with our own stuff. So I decided to make our own communication cards. And so with these cards that pictures that of images, boys and girls that look like him, he was able to connect more with what he needed to communicate, how he needed to communicate. I also use these cards for like schedule reminders. Once he began to actually speak in full sentences, I then, well, during that time too, use them as schedule reminders. I would put them in order, put them on his mirror, so he okay, breakfast time, brush teeth, dress, time to put on clothes, full time, whatever structure he needed that day, that's what I put together for him using the cards. The idea of Black Joy Autism was to help lessen communication and routine stressors for myself and my son, and then later for other families that look like us. Us communicating better led us to find the happiness in our mother-son relationship and less fights that my poor husband had to referee. Raising a special needs child can be chaotic, mentally straining, time consuming, and sometimes you can find yourself in a state of being hypervigilant, which is very stressful, and you can feel alone. All of these aspects, according to a 2017 study, can be akin to experiencing trauma-related symptoms, as noted in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, otherwise known as the DSM, in response to our children's behaviors. With that being said, I'm here to help everyone here and everyone online to find the joy in autism. We know that each and every one of our kids are different, and so everything I may say may or may not be related to each kid, and that's okay. Okay, just take what you need from it and just don't worry about the rest. When raising a child with special needs, our main goal should always be striving to be encouraging and compassionate. A lack of compassion can lead to irritation, anger, fear, frustration for both the child and the parent. I understand that trying to be happy and encouraging all the time, being in good spirits can be exhausting, but it's kind of like a small pay for your child feeling positive about themselves and wanting to embrace the world around them. We have to be compassionate about how our individual child processes their own thoughts and actions, just as we do as adults. Our children get stressed out too. You might think, okay, meltdowns of harmful aspects, reaction to internal stressors, and we have to. You may think that since your child doesn't have a job or anything like that, that they have to be stressed out. They have to be stressed out. They might be thinking, do people like me? Mom and dad like me? Am I good enough? Did I do good enough? Did I do this right? I want to do this, but I can't. We as adults sometimes have the same questions going on in our own heads. But we have resources to combat those things. We have to be those resources for our children. Adrian sometimes experiences performance anxiety. He likes to code, and he likes to keep those projects to himself. So he's online making his little game, making his little videos and whatnot. So when he decides to show me a project, I drop everything and I look at what he has to show me. I use encouraging language when he shows me the project, even when I have no idea what I'm looking at. Excuse me. Afterwards, I thank him for showing me his project and tell him that he can show me another project whenever he likes. Saying that opens the door for him to be comfortable to come to me to show me anything that he has created, and that he can come talk to me about anything. Acknowledging your child's talent and time lets them know that mom and dad care and mom and dad see them. It's okay to celebrate everyday wins like it's the Olympics. Have y'all seen that commercial where the basketball player with Down syndrome makes a shot and the whole gym goes crazy? Mm-hmm. And then the other player looks at the referee and the scoreboard and like, what's going on? We're 20 points up. It's okay to celebrate small wins like that. That's how I celebrate Adrian when he does things, because I want to encourage him to do more and more and learn more and open himself to new experiences. So these new experiences, he might want to try something next week. He might not want to try nothing new until 6 months from now. Who knows? No ideas. Going back to always feeling encouraging and it being exhausting, it's okay to have your feelings. Your feelings aren't going to always be positive. I'm not asking you to repress them. When I'm sad and Adrian sees me sad, and he recognizes that I'm having certain feelings, I want to talk to him about it. He'll ask me. And if he asks me, of course, I'm going to drop everything, no matter how I'm feeling, to talk to him about my feelings, to let him know that, okay, I'm feeling sad. It's okay, I'm feeling sad. This is why I'm feeling sad. So he knows that when he's sad, he can have that same experience. And that teaches him how to navigate his own emotions. When you do have your heavy emotions, don't completely shut down on your child, because they're going to learn to completely shut down on you and everybody else. But if you have to step away from your child, take that moment, do that. If that's what you have to do, take no shame in doing that. Sometimes you might have to find a corner to cry in. I did, and I wrote a book about it. You can find it on Amazon. So while you're away, think about how you want to react and find one thing positive to say to your child when you come back to them. The other day, maybe about a week ago, I was having a moment. I was trying to do some business things and just nothing was working out. Everything I tried that day was just not coming to fruition. And I was getting frustrated. I was getting angry, and I was kind of like at a breaking point. And my son looked at me and saw me, and he was like, "Mom," he's like, "I see you're getting angry. Why don't you stop and count to 10 with me?" And just what he said just hit me with a ton of bricks. And I stopped and I said, "Okay, Adrian, I can count to 10 with you." So we counted 10 and I calmed down and I turned to him. I said, "Thank you for helping me. Thank you for helping me count to 10. I appreciate you that you did that." So that also teaches him, that's a teachable moment for him. And it was a teachable moment for me, because he checked me as a parent. What I'm teaching him, like, okay, mom's not doing what she's taught me to do. Let me teach her again. And I learned, and I was open to that, and I accepted that. So, because some of us came up in a time where our parents didn't apologize. They did not admit when they hurt us or when they wronged us or tried to fix the wrongs that they did. Their apologies came to when, after they punished us and everything, coming asking us if we wanted something to eat. That was how they apologized. We can't do that today. It's a different time. We have to talk about how we admit how we have hurt our child, whether we did it intentionally or unintentionally. We have to recognize, okay, we have to say that we're wrong. This is how we're going to raise emotionally healthy children. And not just with them, with our partners, our family members, our friends. If something happens and somebody is upset, we teach our children how to talk. We have to do that in our adult relationships too. So that's how they grow and learn how to navigate emotions in different social relationships. Another way to finding joy in raising our children, our wonderful babies, is learning to pick our battles. Everything isn't a fight. One battle we really need to stop fighting is how others view our children. How, as parents, how our kids are viewed reflect heavily on us. How people see our kids weighs heavily on us. So we might want to fight Bobby about wanting to wear pajamas to the store. Are the pajamas hurting anybody? No. Are the people looking at Bobby in those pajamas in the store paying any of y'all bills? No. I know it might sound crazy, but we got to stop caring so much. As long as our child is clean and fed, it's a win. We need to let go of the perfectionist in us when it comes to our kids. When fighting our kids, we are almost guaranteed to lose. I'm willing to be a loser if it means that I'm gonna have a low stress level, I'm gonna be happy, and there's gonna be a smile on my kid's face. So regardless of what's going on with these children, take them outside, pajamas and all, and ignore what people are doing and saying, okay? A big part of parenting is introducing our kids to the world. That means visiting amusement parks, family-friend meetups, trips to the libraries. When we started going to the library, where we live, it's a really small library. So when we started going, Adrian would be all over the place, and he was still working on volume control. So when he spoke, he would speak very loudly. And in the small library, that resonated. So people that were there would kind of like look sideways. And of course, I'm like, I ignored them because I'm like, okay, my child is here. He's gonna be here and y'all gonna be around him. So the librarian, she understood the assignment. She started to really embrace him and make sure that he was involved in whatever event was going on. Because she did not want Adrian to feel left out, and she didn't want other people to see that he was being left out. So I really appreciated that librarian for doing that. More to introducing our kids to the world, the more people get used to them and they get used to other people. Keeping our kids hidden away because we're scared of how people will look at them or interact with them only harms them. Why are we protecting other people's feelings? Stop putting other people's feelings before your own families. Stop putting other people's comfort zones before your own families. Our children are entitled to the same experiences neurotypical people are, point blank. An example of this is Adrian started karate earlier in the year. We were apprehensive about putting him in karate because he likes to wander and he has sometimes difficulties in following instructions and focusing on instructions. So we pushed through our fears as parents, and we did not want to stand in Adrian's way of accomplishing anything. The instructor started to adjust the way he interacted with Adrian so he can get a better understanding of how to complete the moves. And this personal interaction off and on throughout the class reduced Adrian's disruption of the class and other students. That experience taught us introducing something new to Adrian that he could end up liking. Gave the instructor and the students the opportunity to interact with autistic kids, whether this was the first time or not. And it eased our fears of Adrian's behaviors in controlled groups. Now, karate only lasted a month because he didn't like other people being in the class. That's just him. This experience also taught us that Adrian has more autonomy. Well, it taught Adrian that he had more autonomy in what he likes and could establish his own conditions. And he's getting older, he's 14. So he learned a lot more about himself. And as children learn more about themselves, you learn more about your child, and you will start to let go of these autism community standards. What I mean by that, for example, is the puzzle piece versus infinity sign debate. Whether autism is caused by taking too much Tylenol or is strictly genetic. Autism can be cured, autism can't be cured, or how autism is represented in TV and movies, etc. Do what feels right for your child and your family. If a blue light represents your child, then do that. Whatever feels comfortable for your family. You don't have to answer to anybody about what you like or what your family like or what's good for your family. As I say, drink your water, mind your business, okay? Um, and when you do this, you start to find joy for yourself. As parents, we first have to put on the oxygen mask. We all heard that saying, put on your oxygen mask before you can help others. Save yourself first and you can save others. Pay attention to yourself. Your body will let you know what you need, things that you might have to change mentally and physically. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a good friend. You're always encouraging to your friends. Why can't you be encouraging to yourself? You encourage your child. Why can't you encourage yourself? Celebrate yourself. You celebrate your child, celebrate yourself. All right, talk yourself up. You talk your child up when they do something, talk yourself up. All right, you reduce the negative way that you see yourself. This changes your thought process, and that positive thought process will radiate from you to the people connected to you. All right, you're just as bad as the next person. You just might need a little bit more sleep. You know, we all do. Take time for yourself using family and friends who are willing to be your village, right? No, please stop trying to force people to be there that don't want to be there, okay? You may need to get help, but this additional stress is not gonna help you at all. If those people don't wanna be there, let them go. You can't force people to be your friend. You can't force people to be a village. You can't support people to be supportive of your journey as an autistic parent. Like your support may not come from the people closest to you. There is a village out there. You just need to find it. If there's no one close to you at the moment, use respite services. I have actually a list of autism services, support groups, all these things, travel ideas, everything. I have already printed list that you guys can have. And that, of course, lists respite services. Again, picking your battles, showing your kids the world, ignoring anybody that's not paying your bills. Find what works for your family. Find your village. Show your kids your emotions. Celebrate them. Accept them for who they are. Accept yourself for who you are in this autism journey. Again, find the joy of who you are first, and then you will find the joy in yourself. Find the joy in autism. When you remove these negative connotations in your autism journey, that leaves the space open to be filled with positive things, to be filled with that joy, to be filled with that peace, to be filled with not comparing your child to other people's children, not comparing yourself to other autism parents. We have to make that space open for the peace and happiness that is in autism. It's not always a struggle. There's love there, there's fun there, okay, there's connection there. And these are my ways for helping everybody find joy in autism. And thank you for being here and listening. So, does anybody have like any questions or?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there a difference between child having autism and what's the word, Asperger's? I think,
Asperger's?
Yeah, is it?
You can have autism and Asperger's. Asperger's is more of a social, well, you might not pick up on social cues, and it's not like an intellectual thing. It's not recognizing people's facial expressions, not understanding certain sayings or colloquialisms, things like that. That is more a social aspect, I suppose.
I have a question. What is considered mild, medium, moderate, high autism? I know I have some of my families. I have one family whose 5-year-old, 6-year-old is nonverbal autistic.
Mm-hmm.
Again, now, so the range, how would you describe the ranges?
When our son was diagnosed, on his documents, it was mild to moderate. what is now, because something that's now level 2, which is he's substantial. He can function socially, but I don't know if I'm switching them. I think level 1 needs a lot of constant support. I think level 3 is where they need just a little bit of support where they can function um, without constant, without constantly having like a parapro or somebody with them all the time, that they can go out their daily lives, whether they're they're an adult, they can go out their daily lives and not need constant support, whether it's a person or it's material support, things like that.
This is more along the line of a personal question. You can answer it. You can say yes or no. Do you ever get that feeling? And can you be saying, why us? Why me? Why did this?
I did. I'm gonna speak for myself. I did have that guilt because while pregnant, I did have a lot of headaches. It was like a constant headache, so I did take medication for it. I'm like, okay, did that medication cause the autism? Is it genetic? Things that I'm seeing that I did growing up, things my husband noticed that he did when he was a child growing up. We saw these same things in Adrian now that's attributed to autism. You know, did he get it from me? Did he get it from dad? So yeah, you have all those things coming at you, well, internally that you're dealing with, but then you have to get to a point where it's like, okay, he's here now. It is what it is. This is what we're going to have to navigate. And this is who he is. This is who we are. This is our family. Every family is different, but this is just a difference in our family, and we accept it and we move on.
Thank you. I don't want to put him on the spot with the same question to Dad. Come on. Get the spotlight, sir.
Come on.
You knew that was probably.
No, I didn't. Did not. So the question was what again? See, the question was.
Did you feel guilty? Guilt.
So when we, I remember we were sitting there getting the diagnosis. I remember the day like it was yesterday, and she doesn't remember because she's like, "Oh, I don't remember that." But I remember getting the diagnosis and the doctor or the therapist telling us, Adrian is on the spectrum. Now you have to understand, my level of understanding of autism was 0. So number one, I heard autism, and what a lot of people think autism is some sort of disease. And so my initial reaction was, I remember sitting there and saying, oh, this is all my fault. Because I think the doctor had said something like, researchers have found out that most kids with autism, I think that the gene comes from the father's side. So when she said something to that effect, guess what? It was all my fault. And I remember having a moment. And I remember her and the doctor looking at me like, you're gonna be all right? You're gonna be all right. But I think initially, I did. I did. And it took a while. It took a few years. What about you? She probably did better than I did.
When my mother started kind of like hinting at, basically your child might have autism, I started doing the research on it. And I did research for a year. I brought it up to him. He was like, no, maybe just a little behind or what have you. So I was prepared for anything. I was preparing myself for a diagnosis, or if he didn't have a diagnosis, what else can I do to help my child? So I researched for maybe about a year or two. We were able to actually get him a diagnosis at 4. So I prepared myself.
I don't know where, but yeah, I was bad. I was far worse than him. So far worse.
So he's awesome now. Yeah.
I heard you saying in your presentation that he's a coder.
Yes.
So with that being said, is his intellectual side is heightened?
Yes, he does really well at math, and Adrian is really intelligent. Adrian will be 3, 4 steps ahead of you before you even know that you got played. So, so he is highly intelligent. He does like the programming aspect. So I try to introduce a lot of that to him. Scratch.com, coding.org, things like that. He loves those. He tell me almost every day, Mom, I love Scratch. I love making things on Scratch. He programmed games that you actually can play on a computer, and he's so excited about when he does those things like that. So yeah, he loves coding.
Also.
Oh yeah, all self-taught. It was something that I think I introduced to him because I didn't know anything about coding. I was just trying to introduce different things to him to see what he's interested in. And he soaked that one up. Like after I introduced him, told him what it was, gave him the website or whatever, he just ran with it. And so now he has followers on his Scratch site. Mom, I got a new follower. I'm like, yay! I don't know what you're talking about, but yay! So
So, okay, one more question. Do you know the statistics whether autism hits more boys, or hits more girls, or is it kind of?
the statistics say more boys, only because the gender bias in diagnosing autism and other special needs, because girls get written off more. And so now that it's a growing awareness of autism, now we're seeing it more in girls where it's always been there. So I still think it's more in both boys, but the number is coming up for girls. More accepting, eye-opening for girls.
Any more questions?
I have one. So as a parent that's gone through, with the diagnosis and now you're 14 years, your son's 14 years old, what would you say your definition of autism is? Because of course there's a clinical definition, but when you live in the real world with it, what would be your definition?
My definition with autism is basically just a different avenue of processing things. He makes different connections with things that we don't normally nor typically think of. And I appreciate that because you always want to think out the box. But my definition is it's just a different thought process. Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you all very much. Educational for me, as well as those who are here and hopefully those who will listen to it on YouTube. Again, you can find us on www.slycinternational.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We don't do Twitter anymore. It was too much going on with Twitter. Again, I'm